Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, entitled Bhakti Yoga, the Yoga of Devotion. The importance of bhakti we have highlighted again and again. Bhakti and Jnana, they are interrelated. And the integral yoga movement, the key to success in that yoga movement is bhakti. Bhakti is your index finger, and jnana is the thumb. 12th verse. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasad jnanat dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phala-tyāga tyagat shanti nirantaram. Knowledge of Phala-tyāga. Phala-tyāga is the goal. Phala means you are living for fruit of karma. Karma-based support. Fruit of karma, no matter how wonderful it will be, it's perishable. So this Phala-tyāga is your objective in life. In order to succeed in this project, is a sequence. Shreyo jnanam abhyasat. Jnana is much better than abhyasa. Jnanat dhyanam vishishyate. And dhyana, meditation, is translated as, is better than knowledge. The renunciation of the fruits of action is better than meditation. For peace immediately follows from renunciation. All these Gita teachings are very succinct and needs to be understood properly. Here all the terms are used are a special term, this not to be identified with the popular way we use these terms, Abhyasa. If you take it literally, what the Gita is saying, Jnana is better than Abhyasa. So stop Abhyasa. Start accumulating Dhyana. But then Dhyana is better. Stop going after Dhyana. Start practicing Dhyana. And even Dhyana, what use? Karma phala-tyāga. Just abandon the karma. That will become the superficial meaning. But the deeper, subtle meaning, that's what one should go after. Follow the sequence. First stage of spiritual sadhana is Abhyasa. But if you are doing your Abhyasa, practicing your sadhana day by day, Adhyasa implies that type of discipline that you adopt, nairantarya, day by day, satkara sevito, with great love and respect for what you do. And for dirghakal, for a long time, all that is the characteristic of Abhyasa. So Abhyasa, as you are doing, must allow your intellect to grasp what your goal is. Your goal is Phala-tyāga. Your Abhyasa should promote Phala-tyāga. And to the extent you succeed in Phala-tyāga, to that extent you also intensify your Abhyasa. So Abhyasa and Phala-tyāga have interdependence, supplement-complement relationship. But we have to always understand, if you stay only maintaining the discipline day by day without getting inspiration from satsanga, without gaining insight through scriptures, then you are in an inferior stage and you are vulnerable to be dominated by your lower self. So, don't be gripped by Abhyasa, but Abhyasa should be successful by promoting in your understanding the importance of Phala-tyāga, of moving away from fruit of karma. Moving away from fruit of karma is same as moving away from the bondage of karma. No more karmas. Karma-based attainments are that keep the soul trapped in the cycle of birth and death. Phala-tyāga stops this process of birth and death and promotes moksha for your soul. So, that insight must enter in your intellect, Phala-tyāga. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat. Abhyasat dhyanam vishishyate. Even keep yourself involved in indirect knowledge, because knowledge that comes to you is always indirect, intellectual. That's not enough. What is greater is assimilating that knowledge, digesting it. So if you are hearing that you are not the body, not the mind, you are Brahman, it should not stay just in a verbal way in your mind. Each time you practice sadhana, you will recite them verbally. Even that verbal recitation has its impact. So it is not being discouraged. Because your subconscious has better listening sometimes. It hears you, what you are saying. You are not hearing your own statement. But your subconscious is sensitive. So that type of gain you have when you do sadhana. So coming back to the sequence, better than Abhyasa is Jnana. That means your intellectual grasp. But better than Jnana is Dhyana. You're assimilating the knowledge. Intellectual grasp is just like the grasp of your recipe. If food you have ordered and you have the grasp of all the recipes that form the food for you. But now, better than that is sit down and start eating it, chewing it, assimilating it. The assimilating process is inspiring process. Otherwise, so many insights stay locked up in your house, the treasure section of your house, Bhandar Grih. storehouse. And better than dhyana is fruit of action, renouncing the fruit of karma. Again, it doesn't mean that you stop your dhyana. The purpose of dhyana, purpose of assimilating spiritual knowledge, is to come to a realization that you do not belong to karma, karmic process. All reflected suns, they belong to the world of relativity. But the sun itself doesn't belong anywhere. Sun is absolutely untouched. So, that revelation that I am the sun, that's the best. That's the goal of life. So, and that's called renunciation of fruit of karma. Renunciation of sakamya karmas, karmas that you do for the expectation of fruit. And that means same thing as nivritti, sannyasa. You adopted the path of sannyasa. And if sannyasa becomes your experience, you are enlightened. And enlightenment means for peace immediately follows from renunciation. So follow the sequence. The first, Abhyasa. Second, Jnana. Third, Dhyana. Fourth, Karma Phala-tyāga, renouncing the fruit of karma. And fifth, Ananta Shanti, supreme peace. Now, Gita opens up to 10 verses, no, rather 8 verses, called Amrita Stakam. They are like 8 drops of nectar. And the topic is, a devotee is dear to me, but who is dear to me? If you understand that, then you know the ideal devotee. And then you know also what we mean by the path of devotion. Characteristics of a devotee. A devotee is one who is dear to God. Why is God so impartial? That you have to understand. The sun is impartial to all buckets of water. But in that bucket where water is clear, the sun is smiling with the reflected sun. The reflected sun is looking, as it were, at the sun. Allegorical language. Reflected sun has no difficulty in realizing, I am the sun. So why the sun becomes partial to one part and remains untouched by other parts? Simple point is, when you begin to practice your spiritual sadhana, already described Abhyasa, Jnana, Dhyana, movement, you become dear to God. And what does that mean? What are the qualities that develop in your personality, which imply that you are devotee of God, and God is actually drawn to you more profoundly than you think of where God is. So we begin this. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitrah karuna evacha nirmamo nirahamkara samdukha sukha kshami. Adveshta sarvabhutanam. He who is free from hatred towards all beings. This is advanced ideal. This, just like the Gita presented is Sthita Prajna Lakshanas, characteristics of Sthita Prajna. Same in parallel line. Gita is presenting 8 verses, bringing out the characteristics of devotee of God. Devotee of God and Sthita Prajna are one and the same. And this is your goal. In your heart, you should not hold hatred towards anyone, because all souls are struggling, led by their karmas. If you enter into hospital and you hear patients, and sometimes some patients may not like you, you may be a nurse, and they start shouting, "Get out from my sight." The nurse should not have hatred. Nurse should realize this is a symptom of hallucination in the mind of people, the symptom of mental derangement. They need more compassion than just hatred. And towards that daily recitation of Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, may all be happy, may all be free of troubles, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, may each attain Sanmati, Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet, may sufferings terminate for all. Just like if you are a parent, mother or father, you are having goodwill for all your children and grandchildren. Consider the entire universe as your children and grandchildren. So that type of a heart is to be developed. That's the ideal, to be truly religious. And that state, if you reach, you are sant, saint, you are sage, jnani, you are jivan mukta. Continuing with the virtuous qualities, adveshta, maitraha karuna evacha, friendliness and compassion, who is friendly and compassionate to all. Friendly term has to be understood. Friendly relation is very profound relation, because when you turn that sentiment to God, it's called Sakya Bhakti. Krishna and Arjuna, they had friendly relation. What does that mean? Friendly means you are aware. Looking at your friend, you look at yourself. Just as a thorn pinches you, the same way it pinches your friend. Only difference is you don't know exactly where it is pinching him or her. So you become completely aware of the predicament of your friend. With the intent, this awareness is with the intention of loving your friend, helping your friend. And that movement means compassion must ooze out of your heart. Karuna. Otherwise, what type of friend are you? If your heart does not melt at the suffering of your friend. But your heart should melt with a purpose. It shouldn't just melt within you. Purpose, how to help the person. And it becomes a powerful sadhana. Any help that you give to people is an act of worship of God in a subtle form, who is free from the sense of mindness. Mindness means attachment and egoism, I-ness and mindness. That's what we use always in Namah, neither me nor mine. Namah mantra. And your mind has to go on understanding that these two terms, me and mine, they are far distant from your own reality. What you consider your reality is a kind of a dream. Just like in dream, you are always working for me and mine. But at the same time, nothing in your dream world is real. Similarly, you are working hard for me and mine. But nothing of the me and mine is real in this world. But when you hear all this is unreal, the message is not that you should become completely secluded from others. Seclusion aspect develops within your heart. As you begin to realize, I am the sun, then you are getting secluded from the illumination, the reflected sun, and all its predicaments. In brief, greater the detachment, better is your compassion towards others. Greater is your Godward movement. Greater is your heart's bhavana, feeling of your heart, to serve God in all, and is forgiving and balanced in pleasure and pain. It started with adveshta. Adveshta is same like akrodha, having no anger towards anyone, having no hatred towards anyone. But when you hold that ideal, you try to suppress your angry reaction. First stage, you are able to suppress it. You are progressing in the virtue of adveshta. But when do you succeed? Success comes when you don't become angry in the very beginning. The hatred does not develop in your mind. No matter how ugly characteristics are presented by people of their personality, your inner level of your understanding sees soul's predicament with sense of compassion. There's the question of forgiving does not arise. So that's called real forgiveness, when you are not forgiving anything. Where the movement of forgiveness is like opening a window and the light comes in. Spontaneous. Sama, dukh, sukh. In adversity and prosperity, in pleasure and in pain. Allow serenity to continue to blossom. Serenity to grow more and more. And both experiences, if you are spiritually sensitive, they are conducive to your mental serenity. If you view adversity as God's will to correct your errors, therefore, even in adversity, you are tuning yourself with God, with a sense of love. Then adversity has become a great source of blessing. And prosperity gives you another flavor of spiritual progress. You begin to, as if glimpse, a touch of God's presence in your heart. How blessed it is. And your blessing allows your heart to entertain that statement, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. If you are happy, how happy it will be if others are also happy. If you have a headache and you cured it, now you look around, any head that has headache, and give that balm. Your head has no headache, but your head is getting more and more joyous, delightful. When you see you are able to calm down the sufferings of others. So, normally your mind is like a fox, looking for where is prosperity, how can I avoid adversity. Here you have to come to understand that from common sense point of view, we will automatically do that. The scripture doesn't say that we shouldn't do that. You must avoid adversity, promote prosperity. That common sense aspect. But while doing that, in your deeper level, you must understand that led by God's will, you will be able to remedy your adversity and promote your prosperity. But when you remedy your adversity, remedy implies your love of God increases more. Your adversity has ended up bringing you closer to God. And likewise, your prosperity has led you still more closer. Because God is Ananda, bliss. So then you have nothing to lose during adversity or during prosperity. 14th verse. Santushtah satatam yogi yatatma dridha nishchaya mayyarpit mano buddhir yomad bhaktah same priya. He who is ever contented, this is the quality of, first we have already pointed out the quality of serenity, which is one gatekeeper. Now contentment, santosh. Just to remind you, 4 gatekeepers. Shama, santosh, satsang and vichar. And 4 are interrelated. And whoever develops any one of these qualities is dear to God. Coming back to the verse 14th, He who is ever contented, centered in me, self-controlled, possessed of firm resolve, with his mind and intellect dedicated to me, such a devotee is dear to me. Santushta satatam yogi. These are like mantras. How to become santusht, trypt, deep within the heart. Nothing to be gained out of this dream world. And you have your very self is Brahman. That vision towards the self, that promoting boundless satisfaction deep within your heart, that must become your spiritual addiction. Yatatma, allowing your higher self to control the lower self. Mastery over your mind, intellect, and senses. Dridha nishchaya, and the resolve that you hold in your heart, it should be resolved to attain liberation. It is this resolve that is allegorically presented in the Mahabharata. Bhishma Pratigya. Bhishma's resolve, and I'm not going into that direction. In other words, every aspirant must resolve to adopt the vrata, the vow of attaining liberation. But that vow has to be vow. It must go through 3 stages. Shakti, once you have made the vow, again you are making the vow progressively. You can't make it completely, but you go on promoting it. As you are promoting it, you discover amazing strength within yourself to face the challenges in your life. That amazing strength comes from God's grace. So Shakti begins to make your life simpler. Bhakti, next, you begin to develop delight of God's presence within your personality. God becomes your father, your mother. Upadrashtanumantacha. He is overseeing you. He is very close to you like a mother. And he is inspiring you. And ultimately you are being led to him. Mayyorpit manor buddhi. A devotee has offered his mind, intellect, and all that this implies all your senses. If you are adopting this movement, then you are dear to God. If you are succeeded in it, then you are the dearest of God. Yasmanno dvijate loko, lokanno dvijate chayah, harsham harshabhayodvaigai, mukto yasa chame priyah. He by whom the world is not agitated, and who cannot be agitated by the world, who is free from elation, envy, fear, and anxiety, he is indeed dear to me. So while devotees pray to God for so many things, deep down that insight has to develop what will really please God? Not your words. You can use the best of palabras, but use them. But don't stay confined only to that level. Now, what are the ideals? He by whom the world is not agitated. First thing, your agitation begins with your own self. If you do not understand things profoundly, mind develops agitation. First point to understand, it is not possible for anyone to understand everything. But everything and you yourself are divine creation. God is behind. So that faith in God, that you are being led by God, that God is watching over you, as this develops, you learn to stay unagitated. You go on treating your problems, physical, economical, and whatsoever problems. You use common sense and practical reality. That's not being negated. But you don't have to be agitated. You learn swimming. Don't be agitated to jump into the pool without learning the swimming lesson. Stay supported. But your goal is not to be agitated. Allow your mind to enjoy serenity. Surrender to God. And that any virtue that you develop is like a blossoming flower. The proof of the blossom is it begins to help countless other people around you. You don't count them because you are related to the whole universe. And what happens within you touches countless souls that you go viral without any mechanical device. You don't have to think of it. And it goes negatively as well if you are constantly agitating yourself. You are creating a negative influence on people around you. You are hurting yourself, firstly, but then you are also hurting others. You are promoting Ajnana Yajna. Jnana Yajna is to promote that knowledge movement. Ajnana Yajna to promote ignorance, highlighting ignorance. When people come together, spending hours and hours of talking about others' vices and all the torture, etc., that the world is waiting for, all that may be perfectly good in this practical way. But what you are missing the deeper reality. That it is by promoting love of God, allowing every individual to discover that it's possible for the person to be Godward. If you are promoting that, you are doing the best service. So by whom the world is not agitated, put it in a very simple way. Don't develop an irritable personality. Don't be constantly shouting. Think of any family. Things are going well. But suddenly you hear from any corner or a kitchen or anybody, a maid servant shouts. Somebody else begins to shout at somebody else. Somebody brings in some gossip about some some person. So thereby you are creating agitation without hesitation. And this point has to be highlighted in your personality. Allow as much as possible a joyous set in your family, in your near and dear ones. No agitation, but calmness. Calmness in your heart creates a spring season around you. Everything can be viewed in a nice way and handled with skill. If calmness is not there, everything goes wrong, and you can commit a big error. Who is free from elation, being joyous, has two effects. For mass level, joyousness is a kind of elation. You hear a good news and you spend your whole day eating good foods and spending your time in pleasure. That type of elation. That's not real prosperity. Instead of being elated, now be inspired. Inspired to promote real happiness. In other words, control your elation. Envy, another sentiment. Constantly comparing yourself with others. There's no need to do that. All souls are placed in predicaments based on their karmas. Souls that have good karmas, they are in prosperous condition. Your being envious of them is detrimental to your spiritual progress. You are not gaining anything substantial. If at all, be inspired by their example. What made them prosperous? Follow that process. But you have to also understand what is real prosperity. Otherwise, you begin to follow wrong example. Fear, and the worst enemy of every soul is fear and anxiety, and constant practice of sadhana, japa, meditation, surrender to God, satsanga, they begin to reduce your fear and allow you to enjoy sweetness of surrender. Sweetness of surrender gives so much strength to your heart that things that frighten you, they no longer can frighten you. And faith in God, that nothing is impossible for God. Grace works wonders. You are not confined to the body. You are the immortal soul. In spite of all your problems, worries and anxieties, you enter into deep sleep and all moves away from you. Can't you understand the miracle? That's an echo of divine truth. When you surrender to God, you are slipping into deep sleep. Sleep is a positive counterpart of sleep. You are going into deep, diving into ocean of joy. The movement, all this movement is progressive. So when you have followed this type of spiritual movement to promote all these virtuous qualities, when you are doing that, you are dear to God. And with this, I will conclude. Om Ram, 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 Ram. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shri Krishnaya Namah. Om Shri Krishnaya Namah. Om Shri Krishnaya Namah. Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya Rasa grace of God for all of you, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. The blessings are given for all. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.